Assalamualaikum. We will continue for part 6 of the chapter 10 lecture, from ovary to fruit. So a fruit develops from the ovary of the flower, and then this fruit protects the enclosed seeds. So it aids in the dispersal of seeds by wind or animal. So here in the figure shown the ovule of a flower. When it is fertilized, this will eventually becoming a fruit with the seed in the middle. Next figure shows how seed travel. It can be by wind, for example, milkweed, dandelion, and maple. So usually these seeds are feathery and thin, lightweight, because to make it easier to be blown by wind. Or by animals, for example, begatics, sandbar, blackberry. So usually these seeds has like thorn or fine hooks or thorns on the surface to make it easier to stick to the body of the animals. And then travel by water, for example, lotus, cattail, and coconut. Usually these seeds can float on water and buoyant. And then seeds travel by bursting. When it bursts, it will disperse the seeds to the surrounding. For example, violet, jewelweed, and also witch hazel. Or by humans, for example, beans, wheat, and cherry. Usually, if we eat fruit, we throw the seeds. If we throw the seeds on the soil, it may grow into a plant. So fruits are classified into several types depending on their developmental origin. So we have three types here. The first one is simple fruit. So a simple fruit develops from a single carpel or several fused carpels of one flower. Carpel from single flower. For example, pea, lemon, and peanut. So here is the pea flower. So in the middle, there is a carpel. So from the carpel, develop into pea fruit. The next one is aggregate fruit. So an aggregate fruit develops from many separate carpels on one flower. So in a single flower, it has many separate carpels. So this will develop into a fruit. For example, raspberry flower. So combination of a lot of carpels will form the fruit, which is the raspberry fruit. This is also similar in other berries such as blackberry and strawberry. And then next is the multiple fruit. So in multiple fruit, it develops from many carpels of many flowers. So now it involves a lot of flowers. So for example, pineapple and fig. So in pineapple inflorescence, so the distribution of flower is like this. And then from each flower and the carpels inside it, it develops segments from carpel of single flower. So each segment is developed from the carpel of one flower, in combination of all becoming the pineapple fruit. For seed germination, as the seed matures, it dehydrates and enters a phase. So this phase is called dormancy. So a condition of extremely low metabolic rate and suspension of growth and development. So it stops growing and develop and has an extremely low metabolic rate. So this seed dormancy is an adaptation for tough times. So environmental conditions required to break the dormancy, and this is varied among species. So seed dormancy increases the chance of that germination will occur at the time and place which is most advantageous to the seedling. So in the most favorable condition and environmental cues. So the breaking of seed dormancy often requires environmental cues such as temperature and also lighting cues. So the length of time a dormant seed remains viable and capable of germinating are varied. So it can stay dormant for a few days or for decades and decades or even longer than that. So depending on the plant species and also environmental conditions. So from seed to seedlings, the germination of seed depends on the physical process called imbibition. So this process is the uptake of water due to low water potential of the dry seed. So imbibing water causes the seed to expand and rupture its coat and also trigger the metabolic changes in the embryo which then enable it to continue growing. So as shown in the figure here, how a plant grows from a seed. So when the seed put into the soil, there is moisture, right? So this will cause the uptake of water and causing the seed coat to rupture. And then proceed to germinate. The seed will proceed to germinate and grow into a plant. Seed germination or PGO. So in this process, the radicle is the first organ to emerge from the germinating seed. So in many eudicots, a hook forms in the hypocotyl and growth pushes the hook above the ground. Stimulated by light, the hypocotyl straightens and then raises the cotyledons and also the epicotyl. So here in the figure, it shows that epigeal germination in common garden bean. So in common garden bean, straightening of a hook in the hypocotyl pulls the cotyledon from the soil. So from here, the seed, the first part that will emerge is the radicle. And then the root will start to grow. And then the hypocotyl is the curved segment here. When it is stimulated by light, after it is exposed to the light outside the soil, it will become straight. It will straighten of the hypocotyl will cause this cotyledon to pull out from the soil, and then this will allow the shoot grow into the leaf of the plant. So another seed germination or hypogeo. Monocots use a different method for breaking ground when they germinate. So the coleoptile, which is the sheath enclosing and protecting the embryonic shoot, pushes upward through the soil and into the air. So there is no more bending of the hypocotyl. Now, in this monocot seed, it uses coleoptile, which is a structure that pushes upward through the soil into the air. So the radicle will grow into the shoot system, and then coleoptile, for example here in maize and some other grasses, the shoot grows straight up through the tube of the coleoptile. So it will grow out of the soil, straight up and forming the shoot and foliage leaves. In plant growth, there are two types of plant growth. The first one is primary growth, the Latin of roots and shoots. And then the second one is secondary growth, which add girth to the stem and roots in woody plants. So in this figure, it shows that shoot tip, shoot apical meristem and young leaf on the top. So this shows the primary growth in the stem, which involve the structure of epidermis, cortex, primary phloem, primary xylem, and in the center, which is the pith. So this shows the axillary bud meristem here. And the lateral meristem, which involve in the secondary growth in the stem structure. Here shows in the figure is the periderm, followed by the cork cambium layer, and then the cortex, and two types of phloem, the primary and secondary phloem, the vascular cambium, and also two types of xylem, the primary and secondary xylem, and also the pith in the center. So for the overview of a primary and secondary growth, it shows that in woody plants there are lateral meristem that add secondary growth, which is the increasing in the girth of roots and stem. Okay, here, and then the apical meristem, which add primary growth or growth in the length of the whole plant, the growth of the length of the roots and also the length of the shoots. So for primary growth, lengthens the root and shoots. The primary growth produce the primary plant body, the parts of the roots and shoot system produced by apical meristem. So here it shows the root cross-section that consists of vascular tissue, dermal tissue, and the ground tissue. And here it shows the stem cross-section and also the leaf cross-section. So the root tips is covered by root cap, which protect the delicate apical meristem as the root pushes through soil during primary growth. So in primary growth of roots, here we can see the structure, the cortex, and then vascular cylinder. The outer layer is the epidermis, and then we can see here is the root hair. So here, from here to here is the zone of differentiation. And then the middle is the zone of elongation. And at the bottom is the zone of cell division. So most of the cell division happen here, near the apical meristem. So the bottom structure shows the root cap, which protect the apical meristem part of the root. So the primary growth of roots produces the epidermis, the ground tissue, and also the vascular tissue. So here is the microscopic image of the cross-section of roots showing the epidermis, and then here the outer structure are the root hairs, and this part is the cortex, and here is the exodermis. This red part is the exodermis, and then in the middle it consists of a phloem and also xylem in a circular pericycle. So we will continue with the organization of primary tissue in young roots in part 7 of the lecture. Thank you.